Right. I think it's a very valid and apt question because as a data privacy officer, it's not an independent role. While it is an independent role for the organization, it is a highly collaborative role. Right. There are four pillars I like to draw. The first pillar is privacy, of course. Then you have the security posture, which is anchored by the CISO of the organization. Then you have the CIO, who is the custodian of a lot of personal data, a lot of organization level data. And then, of course, the last one being the CDOs, who are the commoditizing part of the data to the external part of the world. And to build an effective privacy framework and to build an effective privacy posture, the collaboration is significantly extensive across these four roles. Added to that, I think it's very, very important to ensure the collaboration is across the organization, because you need to be a very strong facilitator as well as a program manager and a change manager to build in a privacy ecosystem. So you need to interface with your business unit heads, as in HR, marketing, and so on and so forth, travel and immigration, expenses, finance, and so on. Because as a privacy professional, you need to understand where your data is within the organization, what is coming into the organization, where is it being processed, how is it getting deleted. The entire data life cycle is your responsibility. And to enable effective management of privacy, it is a mandate or a must, I would say, that you collaborate rather than do it by yourself. So, again, going back to your question, it is very, very essential. It's a very highly collaborative role. Right, DPDP Act, thankfully, we've got the act rolling out in August last year. Well, there has been a lot of, I wouldn't say hype, but a lot of discussions around it. The industry per se is waiting for the rules to come in. There are approximately around 25 rules, is what the ministry has said is going to roll out. But the organizations, every organization, I would suggest starts gearing up, because we have a pretty decent framework with 44 sections of the DPDP Act, which guides us on how to look at personal data and how India per se is looking at personal data processing. Right, it's more digital personal data. So organizations, there are some organizations that are putting up a framework, at least to identify where are the collection points, so that the consent management framework can be put together. Still, there is ambiguity on how the consent management framework will work, because you have a new concept in India called the consent manager, right? Which is going to be a lot more clearer with the rules coming up. So organizations are looking into those aspects, at least put the base frameworks. Like I said, input, as well as there's a lot of emphasis on children data, right? Getting consent from either parent or the guardian. There is a framework around it. Data subject rights or data principal rights in the DPDP Act perspective is also going to be enabled. There are 5 rights. So organizations have started thinking in those respects as well. But again, because of the ambiguity of the rules, they probably have not gone and implemented a lot of things. But whereas some organizations like us, mature organizations, we have implemented across the globe. So ours will be more an incremental approach than organizations based in India looking at only DPDPA. But again, I strongly suggest organizations put the framework together, look at the entire data life cycle, so that they're ready for it, because we don't know how long we will get to by the time the enforcement actually takes place. So it could be 6 months, it could be a year. The shorter the time, the more running you need to do. So you'd rather invest your time into putting the base framework together and start building on it. So my take on this is, yes, mature organizations will be an incremental approach, but there are a lot of organizations that need to. It's better you start upfront before you realize it's already there. Another key point is where we have challenges on the DPDP Act is majority of the obligations is on the fiduciary, data fiduciary. There is no obligation on the processor, data processor, but the obligation on the fiduciary to have a substantial or a very strong contract exists, right? So again, it will be a challenge for processors to adopt. So our contracts need to be worked upon. That can be worked upon right away, making it stringent and putting a proper boundary around the contract, so that the processors also adhere to the obligations of the act. And also the startups, right? While the act omits startups or doesn't include startups in the initial phase, they should not take it for granted as well, Because tomorrow, if I, as a data fiduciary, have to engage with a startup, I will see how compliant they are, right? You can't say Act doesn't allow me to or doesn't mandate me to comply, so I need not comply. Then I will not engage with them, right? So I think overall the industry is aware of the Act, which is good. The ministry also is socializing about the Act, calling out. They've conducted several sessions, and organizations like NASSCOM, DSAI are also extensively calling it out. Even ETCISO, for that matter of fact, last year I think we had the data protection summit where we spoke a lot about DPDPA. So the awareness to DPDPA exists. It's only organization needs to start doing something. All right, I think that's the best way to approach DPDPA before it starts hitting you and then you run around the place.